Hi guys! So this year we grew quite a lot of butternut squash. Since we had so many, I wanted to find out if I could use one to make a pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is usually made with the orange pumpkin, but let's see if using a butternut squash makes a big difference. I'm going to make a very easy recipe. The only tricky part will be making the pumpkin puree from scratch. If you don't feel up to using a fresh pumpkin, you can just substitute it with the canned puree and skip the first part of the video. First, I'm going to slice both the pumpkin and the squash and clean out the seeds. Oil the cut pieces and place the cut side on the baking tray so that the water can come out. Bake at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. In the meanwhile, why not carve one more pumpkin for Halloween? Both the pumpkin and squash are baked. Let them cool down. You could prepare your ingredients in the meanwhile. You will need a can of condensed milk. Do not confuse it with the evaporated milk. The difference is in the sugar content. Condensed milk already has the sugar added. You will need some eggs, salt, and pumpkin spice. If you don't have the pumpkin spice, use a mixture of cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice and cloves. You will need a regular pie shell as well. Let's start cleaning the butternut squash. Its flesh is nice and firm. Now the pie pumpkin. Notice how much water has come out of it. It is much softer than the butternut squash and is more fibrous. I should mention one more squash that is actually used in pumpkin pies most often. The canned pumpkin you buy in the grocery store often contains little to no amount of the bright orange jack-o'-lantern kind of pumpkin. It is instead the Dickinson pumpkin, and it is the source of most canned pumpkin we eat today. It looks like a pale, slightly misshapen butternut squash. Dickinson pumpkin belongs to the same squash species as the butternut squash, so I'm guessing using a butternut squash should be just fine. I am going to prebake my pie shells first to prevent the soggy bottom on the pie. Thaw it slightly and poke some holes with a fork on the sides and at the bottom. Bake at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Let's weigh the pumpkin now. We will need 280 grams per one pie filling. Now ideally, you should run your baked squash or pumpkin through a vegetable mill. Don't worry, if you don't have one, I will show you another way to do it in a bit. Add in 200 milliliters of condensed milk. You can use the rest of the can in your coffee. It tastes delicious. Add 1.5 teaspoon of pumpkin spice and 1/3 teaspoon of salt. Add in 2 eggs. Mix it well. Transfer the filling into a pie shell and bake at 325 degrees for 55 minutes. When you take it out, the center should still be a little jiggly. Don't worry, it will set while cooling down. The filling will also puff up when it's close to done. You can also try inserting a knife into the filling close to the crust. It should come out moist but clean. Now this looks perfect to me. Let's get back to another method of processing your own pumpkin puree. Simply put all the ingredients into a blender and mix. There is a downside to using a blender. It will add a lot of air bubbles into the filling. Here I made a mistake and poured it straight into the pie shell. It's better to just let it sit for a while in a fridge and let those bubbles air out. The butternut squash and the pie pumpkin pies are ready. As you can see, the color of the butternut squash pie on the left is lighter. The pie pumpkin has got a more traditional, darker color. The taste is very similar. They both taste delicious. If you like this recipe, don't forget to subscribe for more that's coming. Thanks for watching and see you next time.